Well, it's a bit of an honour to have this bloke here. He's very humble. He's a great fella and a local Central Coast lad. Big Brizzo, big Grant Brisbane. And I don't really know how we got connected actually, how we met each other, but I'm glad we did. So we obviously had the vertical 5K not long ago, and you participated. And I will get into that in a minute. Yeah. But, mate, what do people need to know about Grant Brisbane? Where do you live? Your family? What's the go?
What's the go? Married, 15 years, a couple of days ago.
Wow.
Got 2 kids, Charlie 12 and Jack 7. And they're both deaf, and they both had cochlear implants and doing really, really well. Talk your ears off. Unless you're in front of an iPad, and then they won't talk to you, and then not so much. I work for myself, do lawn mowing, gardening, maintenance, all sorts of little odd jobs. Been doing that for 12 years as well. I live down at Woowee, been there quite a long time, went to school down there, been in the area a long time, and started running 9 years ago.
So, 9 years ago. Oh dear, doesn't that humble the people that are sitting around the room?
It certainly humbles me, right down to the ground. So in that 9 years, give us a little bit of a run through of what that running journey's been like, because looking at where you are now and what you've accomplished, the thought of achieving those things in 9 years after just deciding to run, step us through a bit of that path for you.
Yeah, well, started at UTA like most people, either North Face or UTA. Mine was UTA 50, started there. Finished up playing soccer on the coast at Umina. Finished up there in August, UTA the following year, so I had 8-9 months to train for it. Trained right through, didn't miss anything, really committed towards it. Turned up and it was the hardest thing ever. I was walking so much, I was busted. Started with a mate, did all the training with a mate. Started together, didn't see each other till 40 something Ks. He sat with me for a K and I told him to just leave me alone. I can't do this, just go, just leave me. And funnily enough, we caught each other on Ferber Stairs again and managed to cross the line at the same time together after doing 9 months of training all together and running.
Had you done the further steps before?
We'd been out there and done some training runs, but to not run more than 500 metres with each other the whole day and then finish across the line after doing all that training was pretty cool. That's great. Quickly moved on, did a whole heap of stuff in between, got into G&W, 100k, 4 months later, something like that.
That was the old course, the point-to-point?
Old course, finished at Yarramalong. That was good. Yeah. It wasn't in November, which was always good.
It wasn't 87 degrees.
It was still hot, but it wasn't 87. So that was later that year. Following that, did G&W 100 mile the following year. Suffered pretty bad through that actually. Got a bit of rhabdo at the ends. Doctor was hesitant on letting me go past Mooney. Last checkpoint through to Patonga.
Your doctor was with you?
No, the doctor at the checkpoint.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, because back in the day, they weighed you before and after and throughout the event. And if you had lost weight or put on weight, in my case, they'd hold you back. And
so you were holding fluid?
I was holding fluid. So, yeah, it was cold. I had gloves on. He said, take gloves off. Pulled the gloves off and my fingers were like sausages. Anyway.
I'm all right. I'm good.
Yeah, didn't know much about it. New to running, obviously. So managed to convince him that, mate, it's a local area. We know it quite well. We'll just wander through. And he said, okay, just don't drink. Just keep eating. Don't drink anymore kind of thing. We managed to finish the day and, pulled up rubbish from that. Absolute rubbish. Yeah. And it took me about 2 years to go back to 100 mile after that.
Yeah, wow.
And then...
I bet you're good.
Yeah. 100 miles scared me. Definitely scared me. So 2 more years, 100 miles, and then pandemic, slowed everything down. Found G&W, did the whole thing, Newcastle to Sydney. Well,
Set
how
the
quickly?
FKT, I think. Did you miss that bit?
no, humble.
Yeah, humble. Yeah. Don't worry, I'll be less humble for you.
Hearing that story kind of makes me think that there was a bit of unfinished business with the G&W, and you wanted to hand itself its back its little bit of rhabdo.
You leave it out there on the trail.
Yeah.
But without stealing your thunder, tell us, without being as humble as you are, how you pulled that FKT, because it's true that after that you had the fastest known time on that trail.
I did. It's always been in the back of my head since I started G&W back in 2016 to do it, and I found out about it. And obviously COVID hit, you can't do anything, so no races are on. So I started putting this plan together that maybe we can do it, but you can't do it without a crew. You guys know that. You've been out there. You need a crew. And so lined up a couple of guys that were going to be instrumental in it and just crew the whole thing as long as it took. Jason Stafford was obviously the main guy. And then put together a spreadsheet of just different guys that were going to come in and come out, pacing the whole way through. I didn't want to be alone at any point.
Yeah.
There was obviously an FKT attempt, so I wanted to treat it seriously. So I put together the plan and, had someone carrying a pack for me the whole way. I never carried a pack. I never held a drink.
Wow.
It's just, those little things that you plan.
And look, for the people that don't know what the G&W is, it's, 250 k's in length.
Yep.
And you're climbing 9,000 metres. So, you need food. You need water. Not you can't. It's not just someone carry the pack for an hour.
No, that's right.
It's serious stuff.
And there's a long distance between car checkpoints. Like there's 30 k's in some cases between where people can get in and see you. So you do need someone with you. Otherwise, you are carrying a pack with a lot of weight. So, I mean, it's a lot of planning, but I like planning. I like trying to solve problems. So. Having people with you, you just need people with you. At the end of the day, I had 20 guys, maybe more, 25 guys that come in and out
That's
throughout.
So cool, man.
40 hours.
I like solving problems. Someone else has got the FKT. I'm going to fix that.
Beat it. Yeah.
I'm going to fix that.
Fucking beat that.
What was the FKT that you knocked off?
What was it? 49 hours, I think it was.
And you did it in?
Just under 40.
Just under 40.
So you just beat it.
Yeah,
just beat it. This is good.
You solved the problem well and truly.
I had a good day.
Yeah.
Day and a half.
Actually, you had a good training. You had a great days.
Yeah.
But
It's good weather.
so that you knocked that off.
Yep.
And then because that's a big achievement, right? Like something you look forward to, have a crack at. You get that done.
Yep.
How long does it take to get the juice going before you decide to do something else?
Well, the next one was Coast to Aussie.
Yeah.
So
He's sick. He was sick.
Coast to Aussie, 6 months later. Yeah, it went well, but it was very tough. It was 37 degrees out there, no shade.
Wow.
Just absolutely brutal day. People dropping like flies. Just, I don't know, just ice on you all the time.
Yeah.
Just learning, like these long races,
Yeah.
how to solve problems. Like, it's 40 hours, it's 30 hours. Like, you're going to come up against different things where you're going to have to come up with a solution. So, I don't know, like, you just got to eat. Yeah. You really just got to eat. If you don't eat, you don't run.
Adam Kranz, I remember Kranz, he goes, we were talking about something. He's a mate of ours that's done some ultras. And he's like, he was describing it to someone about how you eat on a thing, and on an ultra, and he's like, it's an eating race. It's not a fucking running race. It's an eating race. Yeah. And I remember that so clear. It's like, man, you just got to keep stoving that stuff in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Food's a treat normally.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But doing that stuff, it's not a treat. You're just like trying to jam it in.
Yeah.
It's like eating a Cliff Bar that tastes like eating this bench.
That's right.
It's just rough.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So what'd you learn? Like you said, you learned, and you talked about problem solving.
Yep.
Did you learn anything about yourself in the 250 and the Coast to Aussie?
Yep.
that you sort of were like, oh, stuff, you know, that was a big takeout, or?
I don't know. People always say they learn a lot of stuff and learn things about themselves. I don't know. I don't see it like that. There's one thing that's come up lately that I tend to like to say to people that, and it doesn't always get worse. As in, you get to a point after an hour and you're tired and sore, and everyone thinks, oh, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse the longer you go. But at some point, it's going to hit a point, and it's not going to keep degrading. You're just going to hit a point, and you're just going to be sore and tired.
This is coming from a guy that had rhabdo. No, all good.
But
no, I get it.
It's not going to keep. We think it's going to get worse and worse and worse, and it doesn't get worse and worse and worse. It's bad, but you're not going to fall off a cliff. That's one thing I have learned. Like, you're going to hit a point. It's going to be hard, but you're not going to fall off.
Yeah.
Like, you can make it through.
And do you think, knowing a bit about your running, to me, from looking at how you execute races, you've already talked about it this evening. You plan, and you plan to execute that plan, and then, like Cal mentioned before, one of your nicknames that we've coined for you is the metronome, because we can start you ticking and set you off, and you just continue to go. Do you think that largely what you've talked about just now is because of the fact that you design a plan and you set out to execute it, so you're not doing it the other way around and saying, I'm prepared and I'm going to give it a go and see what happens? You just plan to deliver. And we saw that in the Vertical 5. You had planned how long you wanted to get up and down that hill in, and you just repeated that plan and executed it throughout the day. Is that part of the approach?
Absolutely, yeah. It's being realistic with yourself and coming up with a plan that you actually think you can execute, not something that, you know, is far out of your reach. So knowing your limits and putting a plan in place that's absolutely realistic to what you can do is absolutely key. Like, anyone can say they can go and run the first lap in 22 minutes, but what's that going to mean on the 14th lap and the 16th lap? Like, it might mean an hour and a half. So you got to be realistic in your efforts, and doing track racing, doing this, doing other challenges it's all the same. Like, you just got to come up with a plan that is at your level, at where you're at right now. Like,
I'm glad you touched on the track racing, because for those who don't know, we're talking to a guy who's represented Australia twice for this. I'll say style of running, and you're about to do it again. In the
12
world,
months.
right? So
12 months.
Tell people what this is, because when I heard about it, I vomited a little bit in my mouth. So tell us what you've done to represent Australia. Which in and of itself is fucking dope, like super cool, and something you should be real proud of. But tell us about what you're going to do as well.
Yeah, so there was COVID again, no trail racing going on, and track race come up in Sydney, and I was pretty keen to have a crack, and once again, setting a plan, thinking what's realistic for me to run around a track for 12 hours. I had no idea about records, nothing. I just went into it thinking what I wanted to do and execute my plan, and it was run 14 minutes, walk 1 minute, and the run was at 5-minute pace. And the walk was whatever the walk was going to be for a minute. And then it was do it again, 12 hours. So in the end, ended up with 141 Ks or something like that for 12 hours, which ended up ranking me like 10th Australian ever in it. And I'm like, had no idea that was the case. And then found out about the Australian team. Can't run the Australian team after a 12-hour event. You have to do a 24-hour event. So what happens? You go and do a 24-hour event, don't you? So went down to Canberra and had a shocker, but learned a few things. I learned don't put so much pressure on yourself, because I went down there for one reason, and that was to run the qualifier for Australia, which was 240 Ks. And that's the only reason I went there, is to run that. And I put that much pressure on myself, I freaked out. And 7 hours in, I was ready to quit and give it up. I was on, I was out the back of the tent,
Yeah.
on the ground, crying.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. 7 hours in.
So you at that point.
Yep.
So talk to me about the moment, like you get to 6 hours, and just after 6 hours, and you're starting to feel what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And you're like, I've got fucking 18 hours to go on this.
Yeah.
Like, what's going through your head?
I can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it. And I couldn't do it. And I had to go out the back. I took 5 minutes. I just put a towel over my head, let it all out.
Yeah.
Crew come over, talked me off the ledge, got me back out there,
Yeah.
said, just start walking. Just start walking.
Yeah.
Like, you're out here, we're not going home. We're here.
Yeah, we're not going
We're not going home, we're here now. Like, just start walking and see what happens. So just started walking, did a full hour of walking,
Yeah.
then went, no, might as well start running now.
Yeah.
Can't go anywhere.
Sick of walking.
Sick of walking
Yeah.
now. So I started running again. I got through it. It was fine. Kept eating, kept drinking, managed to get the head back around. But in these races, as soon as you lose too much time, those goals of 240 Ks are just gone. Like, there's so small margins in there that you can't waste an hour or even 10 minutes on the sideline sitting in a chair. So I did that. I got 225 Ks.
Which is
It's quite
it's pretty.
it's quite good. It's quite good,
Yeah,
but it wasn't what I wanted. So 11 weeks later, I went back to a race in Sydney and managed to tick it off there and 242 Ks.
Wow.
And that qualified me for Australia. They take 6 to a World Championships or an Asian Championships. And so I got selected as the 3rd or 4th runner in the team and went over to Taiwan last December to pull on the Australian jersey.
Mate.
Wow.
So
How? Tell me about when you did you ever think you'd represent Australia in like anything? Has that been a goal for you, or
No.
it was you just sort of stumbled into it?
stumbled into it. Like, through this running, I had a couple of mates join the trail running section of the Australian team.
Yep.
And they went over to Scotland
Yeah.
to represent Australia in the trail side of things. But that's kind of a who you know thing.
Yeah,
It's not a winner race and you get to go. It's not run so fast and you get to go. It's you apply and some bloke will pick you up.
Approve you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it's not the same. Whereas this track running, if you run X amount of kilometres in 24 hours,
You're in. Yeah.
you're in. Like, and you can see who's in front of you, and you can see who's behind you. And if you're in the top 6, you'll get picked.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. Like, so I found that was an easier way to represent Australia than
Yeah.
throwing an application in and going, "Hey, pick me, I'm really good," kind of thing.
You're like something we sort of breezed over, or you breezed over. I didn't. Was that it was 11 weeks between a 225 effort and then a 240 effort.
Yep.
What was the recovery like in between? Like, what were you doing? Did you try and keep up the training, or did you try and like back off a bit? Like, where was that sitting? Because that's a short window.
It is a very short window. I was planning to go back to Canberra. There was another one in Canberra in 14 weeks.
Yeah.
And I planned on going down there again. The race director at Sydney rang me up and said, "Hey, we're putting the guys on lane 1 instead of lane 3, which will give you a better chance because your crew will be right on the inside of the track."
Yeah.
So I'm like, 3 weeks less recovery, less training, less progression. I'm like, Sydney will be better. It's less travel, easy to get to. I can sleep in my own bed.
Yeah.
I can just drive down in the morning. So it presented a lot of good options. But that 11 weeks, it was, as you know, it takes 2, 3, 4 weeks to get over things that go for that long. So I find it really difficult after a big event to get going again. And I didn't need to put the work in because I put a stack of work in before the first one. So basically I just needed to recover, feel like I was moving well again, and then see what was going to happen. And it probably took a month before I started running properly again, which left me 6 or 7 weeks to train, which
They're
is
very.
not a long time.
I can't even comprehend the numbers. Maths is not my strong suit. However, I can't even comprehend those numbers when I think about it. But one of the other things that I can't wrap my head around, that I'm interested in is there's such very different events. An FKT over 250 Ks in the bush with massive amounts of elevation and completely remote, all of the elements versus 240 Ks in 24 hours around a track. To be able to excel in both makes those things even more exceptional. Regularly people will stick to one discipline, hit the trail, and that's all they do, or they'll hit the track and that's all they do. What do you like the most, and is it just about running and crushing these goals, whether it be on the track or in the trail, or is there something else that's the driver there? Because to be able to do both is just mind-blowing to me.
Trail's always best.
Yeah.
Trail's always the best thing I want to do.
Correct answer.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to kick you out if you said the road, but
Definitely not a road.
Yeah.
Track was just something I got into. Obviously, representing Australia's massive.
Yep.
To be able to do that is great, and I actually enjoy it. Someone asked me 3 years before I got into this track running, who would ever run around? I'm like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? But going through past that, it was like, it'd be pretty cool to see how far you can actually run in one day, one lap of the sun. Like, let's see what we can do in one day. Take out all the elements of elevation, crewing. Yeah. You see your crew every 400 metres. If you want something,
You've got
it's not hard.
Yeah.
So if you want a jacket, just get a jacket.
Yeah.
If you want anything, it's right there. So you take away all the elements and just see how far you can run. And track running's been around for longer than trail running.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things, and it's really cool. I don't mind it. I don't need to lose myself in a trail, but I'd certainly much rather be in a trail. And leaning into next year, hopefully going to the Worlds again for Australia, I'm not going to do any track running. I'm just going to trail run, get fit. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Well, you know what you're walking into.
That's right. It's more head noise when you run around a track. Yeah. And if you can shut that off or deal with it or know what's coming at least, I think just being fit and strong is all you need to be.
What I love about talking to him is it's like nothing's like, you don't get any, I guess, blocks, right? Everything's like, okay, we make a plan and move past it. You hear so many times, my legs hurt and my ass hurts and I'm cramping and I'm sick and whatever. Yeah. Like we've all done it, right? Yeah. We've all experienced that. I think so many times people quit on the basis of I can't possibly keep going, but that's like the shit you're talking about is like exactly the opposite, where it's like, yeah, sure, you're going to experience that, but like there's ways to navigate through it. I think people lose that, right? They're looking for the instant fix right now type thing. Like I need to take this gel and it'll fix me instantly, No gel's going to
Not many.
No. But I think that's what's really cool. And, we sort of touched on that you came and did the vertical 5. Yeah. And I remember when we had a yak on the phone and you said, yeah, mate, I'm going to come and give it a rattle. You'd not long before gone to the doctor. And the doctor said, and it wasn't no more monkeys, it was stop the fuck running, I think is the words.
No, that's right.
But so tell us a little bit about, I guess, what the doctor said and why, and then what you did about it.
Yeah, so I had this hip complaint. I wouldn't call it an injury. I was just aware.
The doctor would.
The doctor would. I had this hip issue. It's been going on for about 12 months. I finally decided to have a scan. Physio wasn't responding to any physio. Yeah. I'd done a lot of stuff through the 12 months to try and fix it. Got a scan, saw the sports doc. He said, well, you got to stop running because there's some edema in there, could be some stress fracture type stuff within it. Anyway, 9 weeks off, went back and saw him. Didn't get another scan, so don't know why. doctor didn't want one.
Yeah, that's the doctor's fault. Yeah, the doctor's fault.
Anyway, so what can change in 9 weeks? So anyway, went back, did the same testing, like stand on one leg, do some squats, all of this stuff. And he's like, nothing's changed. I said, well, no. He goes, okay, so you've got a hip impingement, which is a little growth on the hip that stops it moving within the joint a little bit. You've got some arthritis in the hip, and you've got a torn labrum. Now, the arthritis isn't going to fix itself. The torn labrum's not going to fix itself. So, or, you know, stop running.
Yeah, you are fucked. Stop it.
So you told him you were just going to do some gentle hill repeats up at a spot called Heaton's.
So I said, well, that's not really an option to stop running. So what's another option? He said, well, you know, surgery.
Yeah.
I said, well, that's not really an option either, but at least we're getting somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, so anyway, left the doctor's office and thought, well, let's just see what happens. Like, let's just get back into it and see how it goes. Like, if in 12 months it becomes real pain and like at the time it was just awareness that something wasn't right. It wasn't sore, it wasn't giving me grief, it wasn't changing my gait, it wasn't doing anything. I just stood there and knew something wasn't right. So I was like, well, let's just have a go. It's already fucked. So, like, what's the worst going to happen? Like, I need surgery. Like, I need surgery? Okay, well, let's just get it, see how it goes. Like, and so we're, 10, 12 weeks past that date, and we've done some stupid things. And you called me the first day I had a good run, which was 2 weeks.
I got him at his weak moment.
I had 2 weeks of absolute hell of running after I come back.
Yeah.
And then I had 2 runs, Monday and Tuesday, and you rang me on the Tuesday and you said, had someone pull out.
Yeah.
What do you reckon? I went,
because I talked to Jace originally, and he said, I've got something on, whatever. And, you know, over the last little bit, it's been really good to connect with the KMR crew. Like, there's some great lads, and not you, but the rest of them, they're good. But it's been really good. So I thought, fuck, you know, a couple of them came to the last man standing, and there's some cool lads and whatever. And he's like, I can't. And I'm like, well, what's some of the other boys doing? He said, I'll speak to Brizzo, but he's had this hip thing. And I'm like, oh, fair enough, whatever. And then when we spoke, it was like, mate, so this is the deal, you know, because there's a bit of fundraising involved, as you know. And, it wasn't sort of the normal process for maybe entering a race that you've done before. And he's like, I'm in. I'm like, this guy's sick, you know. It's so good. But so, you know, we obviously did. And for people that don't know, the Vertical 5K Challenge, I don't know if it exists or not. I don't really care. But, you know, I've heard of a vertical K. I've heard of a vertical mile, but never heard of a Vertical 5K Challenge where it's not the distance that you run, but it's the elevation that gets you there. And so we had a ridiculous sort of request of 15 participants to firstly run vertical in the 5K, the vertical park run. But also to raise some cash for LF, which is Leukemia Foundation, which we're obviously connected with. But tell me about, like, this guy excels in running. He also excels in fundraising, right? This guy there was a $500 limit. He raised it in about 12 hours. He has some friends, apparently.
It escalated about as quickly as you escalated up and down Heaton as your fundraising. It was as impressive as your running.
Yeah. So how'd you go when we sort of said, you've got to do a bit of fundraising and then the idea of a vertical 5K, like when you sort of heard it, were you like, fuck, or were you like juicy for it?
Yeah, no, I was excited.
Yeah.
I was excited.
Of course.
The fundraising's no big deal. I've never asked people for money, so I just put it up on the KMR group chat, and 12 hours later, it was kind of done.
Action,
and a few more come in through Instagram and stuff like that. But the KMR guys got around it because I was up there running, representing them, kind of thing. And mate, any crazy challenge, I'm always up for it. It was different. Heaton's Gap's legendary on the G&W course. And no one likes it. So to run up and down it 16 times, you know, it's crazy. So
I'd heard some people that have done plenty of ultra running, I told them about what
Yeah.
we were up to and what some people were going to do, and they're like, "That's not possible." that's their exact words. Like they're going, well, "I've done 5 or 6, and I can't imagine doing 16."
Yeah.
Right. So 16 repeats at 330, call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, up and down, it's not possible. And what I saw that day from you and others was that it is possible.
Yeah.
And it was awesome to watch we obviously got people like yourself that have represented Australia, done some really cool running stuff that you should be proud of, and we got some people there that came and have never run more than like 30 Ks before.
Yeah.
And finished.
Yeah.
Right. And like when you hear that, what do you think? Like after doing what you did,
Yeah.
and then hearing something like that, what do you reckon about that? Like,
no, that's super cool because it's just mind over matter at the end of the day. Like your mind can limit you too much.
Yeah.
Like in anything you do, but especially in these kind of things, like you just got to get up and down the mountain. Let's just get up and down. Like you got 14 hours to do it.
Yeah.
You got food at the top.
yeah,
You got people going past you all the time supporting you, and those 15 guys and girls that were out there,
yeah,
plus you guys coming up and down as well,
Yeah.
doing some filming and talking and whatever. Like everyone's just supporting each other, and like 2 hours in, everyone knows everyone's name, and like just giving everyone high fives on the way past, and just encouraging everyone, and it helps. Like.
And that was certainly some of the feedback that we've got from everybody that was up there on that mountain, was how important it was to see everybody constantly, and not just the crew, but to see each other running.
Yeah.
And you ticked away, you dominated that mountain for the entire day from start to finish, and everybody that I've spoken to talked about what a treat it was to be able to have just a brief chat on the way up and down, and send and receive a bit of encouragement around the fact that you're all out there trying to beat that hill 16 times throughout the day.
Yeah.
How did you plan to go about, because you had a fairly sort of set plan in mind like you normally do, and like we've talked about, what was your approach? Like what was your plan, and how did you come up with that in terms of, I know what I've got to do, how am I going to break it down?
Yeah, well, training for it, I went up there, I only got up there twice, I think, to actually do some repeats, and it had been a long time since I'd kind of been up there and done any kind of repeats on it. So I went up and did 6 one day, and just kind of tried to work out like what's a reasonable pace to come down in, and what's, there's literally only 2 sections of that hill that are runnable if you're going to do 16 repeats. If you're going to do 1 or 2, there's a couple of extra sections that you can kind of run. But if you're doing 50k, 9, 10, 14 hours, there's pretty much only 2 sections you can run.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I know there's only 2 sections you can run, well, I'm not going to waste any energy trying to run anything else. I'm just going to walk it. So in the end, it was about, what did I say, 33 minutes, I think.
Yep.
So it was 11 minutes down, 22 minutes up.
Yep.
It went well for
11 minutes and 22 minutes.
it went well for about 8 laps, and then it was just really humid out there.
Yeah.
It was okay on top where you guys
we had
were.
so many different weather conditions that day. It was
Up on top was perfect.
Yeah.
There was a breeze. Seemed to be some cloud cover up there for some reason.
Yeah.
There was tree cover up there. But especially when you're walking, you don't get the breeze of the run because you're not creating any force.
Yep.
So you don't get any breeze back from the weather.
Yeah.
So it got really hot out there, and I don't know, lap 8 through to 12 was horrendous. Like, you saw me, I had an ice pack on my head that I was balancing on my head.
Yeah.
I had a neck bandana full of ice on me, and I changed that every lap.
Yep.
I did, and there was like, they were all under 40 minutes, but I spent some time in a chair literally getting iced down at the top. And, that took a few minutes, but I don't know, you just keep going. Like, you just keep going. Everyone's encouraging. Like, you're sitting in a chair and someone comes up, taps touches the fence and goes back down. He's, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
You know, all right, let's go. Come on, let's jog down together.
There was a sick camaraderie on the day that everyone has shared the same sentiment. It's like I've spoken to people separately and they're like, man, it was just such a good crew of people.
Yeah.
Like some people knew each other, but
Yeah.
it's like it was just good fun. And I think that was super cool. And like from our perspective, you know, doing something that, you know, or putting on something that is, I'm going to say difficult or a significant challenge, was really cool. The other bit was, I think we raised $27,000 for the Leukemia Foundation, which was way more than we had planned, which was, I think when you do something challenging and you happen to do something that benefits others, and without getting too deep on it, like it's a feel good, right?
Yeah.
So you got community, you got a dope event, and you're helping others. Like it's a good feel, and like I didn't get the opportunity to run, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes. But the what I saw on that day was community, and I think that was sick. Like as someone just on looking and watching, I loved that people were suffering, but doing something cool at the same time, you know. But so I don't know if you guys saw this, but on the last lap, he goes, "Righto, Cal, you're doing the last one with me." And what you didn't know is I had fucking wild diarrhea. Wild. Like I was struggling to walk without some action, and I'm thinking, there's no fucking way I'm running down that hill. You know, and that would have thrown you off on the last bit, but I didn't want to go, sorry, mate, I've got the squirts, you know. But so that was less than ideal, but I would have loved to have come out and been a part of it. Just didn't want to pass on the.
Like you were man in the aid station, mate.
Oh man, I was in some drama, but it's it was super cool to have such a wide mix of people. We had people there from where we showed the blood run in Canberra. So we had 2 or 3 of the guys from there. We had some KMR. We had some of the guys that have been running with us for years, and so good sort of combination or crew. But so, what did you think of that event? And you can say it was shit, but in the context of shit you've done, because you've done some wild shit. Would you say it was easy, hard, medium? Like, where does that fit in what you've done? Because it was a tough day out. But you also crushed the hell out of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. There's no denying it's hard. Like, there's no way to climb 5,000 metres without it being hard. You know, that's the realist.
That's not what I saw.
It's just walking up a mountain, isn't it? You know, like. But the event was great. Like the 15 people that you chose to put in, you obviously hand selected the 15 because you knew they were all great people that wanted to test themselves, and you know, the trail running community is pretty cool. They all support each other. Like, you know, who was it? The young fella out there. Was it your young fella? There was a young fella out there, 15.
Shooters. Oh, Shooter's nephew.
He was walking up and down a few times. You know, your daughter was out there just wandering up and down a few times as well. She crushed, 7 laps or
I think so.
something. You know, so there's a bunch of people, and this young fella, he was down there, he found a koala that was in the tree down the
that's
bottom.
right. It was Shooter's nephew.
And he was just struggling there at one stage. He goes, "Oh, you got any water?" Mate, you can have whatever I've got. You know,
isn't that trail running?
It is.
Take some water. He was going up, I was going down. You know, whatever. Just take it. If that helps him get back to the top, that's great.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know, and you guys up the top filming and encouraging everyone every time they come through with the cowbells and the cheering.
Getting juicy.
It's great. It's, you know, it's what trail running is. It's brilliant. So
100%, man.
if you keep it going, like. People will show up.
I don't know about that. I know. So my brother obviously filmed it, and Dan filmed it. So we'll have some stuff coming out pretty soon over the next little bit to, you know, I guess commemorate the first ever one of those. But we've got some plans for it for the next time that we do it. But it was bloody good to have you involved with it, and you've set the benchmark for the years that follow of this event. But it's we sort of started out doing this bloody mission thing because we wanted to build community and connect with good people, and you're one of those. But also the people on the coast. I think you talk about trail running. The community on the coast is unreal. Like the community, trail running community here is really good. And I'm sure it's good elsewhere, but they get fucked. No. Yeah, that's right. But we are lucky and we got some great stuff around. But before we wrap up, what does that sort of 9 months or 10 months look like for you? And how do you feel? I know you talked about trail running as a part of that, your training block, but what does it entail from a weekly training perspective? How many hours are you doing?
Going forward?
Yeah.
Going forward. Look, I can't do much more than 9 or 10 hours a week. Yeah. My work is pretty demanding through summer. It's really hard to find the energy to go out in the afternoon and have a run. I definitely can't do it before work. I've tried, and it just doesn't work. I'm too hungry throughout the day. Like, it just
chowing.
It's too hard. And like you come home, you just as soon as you get home, you just got to leave. You just got to go straight back out the door and get it done. Because if you sit on that lounge, you drink a beer, you'll eat some food, and then you're done.
All over,
You're done.
And that has flow-on effects with kids and family and home commitments and the rest of it. It's tough to fit it in, isn't it?
It is, which is why, just get home from work, just go straight back out the door. You've got to have the flexibility in your day with the kids and the wife and their sporting commitments, and it's all got to work, and, you've got to have a roster kind of thing to set all this stuff up. But, for me, that's how I squeeze in the training. And, going forward, look, there's no magic number. There's no, I need to hit 100K a week or 100 mile a week. There's none of that. Like, it's what I can fit in, when I can fit it in. There's a key session. There's a key fast session on a Tuesday with the boys on the waterfront. There's a long run on the weekend, but they don't have to be long. Like I've figured out that you don't need to run 10 hours to get fit. Like you can run 3 or 4 hours on a weekend, and it's plenty. Like it's plenty. Like so, somewhere between 70K and 120K is where I sit.
Yeah, wow, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that if we can schedule in 9 hours and 20 minutes for you in October next year, then you'll be back to defend the Heaton's title in the vertical 5K in 2025?
Well, I've got to go to France in October, so you might have to change the date.
We might have to change the date. We might have to work that out.
So I'd be happy to come back. It'll just depend on the timings.
Of course.
So
mate, did you jag a ticket for what's that race you were trying to get into and they're sold out?
Budai?
Yeah, did you get in?
No, not yet. Still waiting.
If anyone from Budai that's organising the run is listening, give Grant a ticket for fuck's sake. There, right. Well, mate, I'm again stoked to have you as a part of the community and for being involved, and I can't wait to see how your training goes, how the event goes for you next year. Like, pretty cool, man. Like, you should be really proud of that, eh?
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it. And you should be proud of what you've put together here. It's really good, and you're joining communities together, and it's unreal, and raising a shit ton of money too.
Yeah, man. Well, we want to keep doing that. We want to keep doing adventure, like Bloody Mission's about, doing wild stuff that gets attention for the right reasons to raise cash. And we got some stuff in April next year. We want to run from the top of Tassie to the bottom along the Tassie Trail.
Yep.
And so, we're starting to plan that out and look at as to how that sort of looks and feels. And I want to do it a little differently though. We want to do 50K tags. So 5 people, it's 480 is the length.
Yep.
So each person will be scissors, paper, rock to run 50. And then it's tag 50. So you'll do 100 over the whole trip.
Yep. Continuous?
But it's 50, and then you wait 2 or 3 blocks, and then 50 again. So we're doing stuff like that, and the whole thing is to just keep building some stuff and building content that hopefully people will want to look at, and we can draw attention to the right things. So it all helps when we got some bloody cool people doing some cool runs, man. And 9 hours 15 on that vertical 5 that's a hell of a run, man. I know you wanted to crack 9, but
you told me 8, mate.
I said the winner would get it between 8 and 9, and you made a fucking liar out of it. No, but mate, thank you, appreciate you, and can't wait to follow along for the next bit, mate. But
we're very much. We're very much appreciative of the fact that you're involved, and the feedback all the way back to you from everybody that we've spoken to is that your encouragement was paramount to everybody else getting up and down that hill. You packed up and left first, and left the rest of them out there into the night. But they all mentioned, in actual fact, some of the one of the KMR guys was actually coming up the hill at some point in time when we were down filming and chatting to people. We said, "Oh, g'day, how you going?" And they said, "Oh, where's Brizzo?" We said, "Oh, mate, he's gone. He left an hour ago." And they went, "Are you serious?" And they walked halfway up, and
that's
then
right, I forgot about that.
2/3 of the way they got up and came back down. Went, "Oh, he's finished and he's gone home already." And we didn't think he'd be doing it that quickly.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And I think the bloke, and I don't know who they were, but the bloke had convinced the lady that this is a good idea. We'll walk up this thing, and we'll go and see Brizzo running.
Yeah.
So she didn't look thrilled when she got to the top, like she hiked up this thing.
But they did have to walk all the way to, in fact, confirm that you had, in fact, finished.
So they had to walk back down and see us. The look on the guy's face was like, that was so good, man. I don't know. Who do you know who that was?
Yeah.
Man. It's so
Do I need to tell me then?
it's funny, man. It was funny.
We'll tag him in the notes.
So good. Well, thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you, mate. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Best get you another beer.